What you don't want to do is the guy go up there and swing at a pitch out of the zone. Now we got some issues. Justin Kelly not happy with the Lance Barrett strike zone here this afternoon. Looks like DK's been run.
Assuming it was on the first strike call to Lopez.
Strike call.
That's a good pitch.
And hearing it from the dugout is Adrian Johnson. Mike Shildt has been barking at him quite a bit tonight. Fernando strikes out. 2 down in the inning, and Fernando's going to say some stuff and get tossed. Adrian Johnson sends him out. Mike Shildt's not far behind him as he's coming out. And now Mike Shildt's going to throw his stuff, and he is really going to let him have it.
Oh, I'm not a lip reader, but classic example of Mike Shildt. We know what he's all about, sticking up for his players.
So Fernando gets ejected. Mike Shildt was ejected.
Dunn goes. Pitch called a strike. Throw down. He is out. Reds are going to challenge. But I think the question. Oh, and
he just
now
threw Colin Cowgill out of the ballgame.
Oh, Francona might get run here too. And he's going right back after Alex McKay, second base umpire. Protracted talk here between Francona and crew chief, third base umpire Alan Porter.
What Alan Porter was saying is you were thrown out of the ballgame.
And barking from the Pirate bench. So he's not going to listen to it anymore.
Go ahead, Donnie.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
Here comes Donnie. Somebody just got tossed. How about Don Kelly? Well, we're going to search the record books. The last time a manager got tossed in his second big league game, and he's going to let Clint Vondrack have it. I think it's possible that somebody else got tossed initially. Maybe it might have been Rebello. We'll have to find out, but there's no way you wouldn't think that Kelly's not tossed, and the fans love it.
I love it, Greg.
3-2. Struck him out looking, and Reynolds didn't think so. Leadoff double. Canario stranded. Still 2-1 Atlanta. 2-1, and there goes Brian Reynolds. He got tossed by the home plate umpire Clint Vondrack. As he was arguing with Vondrack, but then he is barking at the crew chief Dan Bellino, and he gives him the ejection, and Mike Rebello goes over to find out what's going on. So the crew chief had enough.
Well, a couple close calls for strike threes on Brian Reynolds today, and 2 line drive outs. He's obviously frustrated.
2-1 is there. It's a strike. Somebody downstairs just said that ball's out. And Adrian Johnson. Oh boy. Here we go. 3 straight hitters. That is now the second most famous hat toss in this city to Mary Tyler Moore.
A little more leeway.
That one a little lower.
Yeah, even if your pitcher's up, that one was way out of the zone. And here comes Will, and I think he was given the boot.
Or maybe it was Marcus Timms, because Marcus Timms and someone else has now been ejected.
I think both. Yeah, Will was thrown out. No, I think they've both been thrown out.
Koss down to the count 0-2 as a pinch hitter. Did he go? Yes, he did, according to De Jesus. Wow, that was close. Bob Melvin he might get tossed out here. He's running out to argue with Ramon De Jesus.
It's obviously a massive call in a tie game in the 9th inning. The leadoff batter.
Rocco Baldelli got thrown out of last night's game. Now Bob Melvin out of today's game. And you know you're having a rough series as an umpiring crew when both managers get ejected.
Gets the call. Low fastball against Dominguez. Giants. There's strike 3.
Wagner behind the plate has been really inconsistent.
And Aaron Boone's been ejected. The Knights' frustration's probably built up on both sides.
Well, I can understand Aaron Boone being frustrated with that call. That was down. Wagner's missed a lot of calls tonight.
Boone emptying out the bag. Dominguez called out on strikes, 2 away here in the 9th.
Afternoon here. And another at-bat ends in a strikeout. And Laureano has just been ejected from the game for slamming down his helmet. James Hoyt tossed him. Brandon Hyde will come out after Ramon has said his piece, but the bat throw and then the helmet spike is going to get you run pretty much every time.
Rounded fair to third. Gino with a long throw, and Caven able to keep it in front. And Koss stumbled across the bag. He's injured and tagged out. That will end the inning, but Koss is really shaken up down there. He could not get back to the second base bag. And we have a collision around the bag. Yeah, Lawler was standing there. And Koss, I guess, didn't see him.
Fielders are prohibited from impeding or hindering a runner's path to the base while not in possession of the ball or in the act of fielding the ball. That's the definition of type 1 obstruction. Now Lawler's going over to cover the bag. He's got his back to Koss, and Koss just had nowhere to go.
Yeah. I hate to say it, but I think that's a bad on Jordan Lawler right there. You got to get out of the way. You have to realize what happens on the play. He went to the bag anticipating a force play there from Gino, but Gino instead went across the diamond, and as soon as you see that throw, you've got to get out of the way.
This is a subjective judgment call by the umpires. It is not subject to review.
Well, and the second base umpire today is Edwin Jimenez, who has done the D-backs no favors in this series.
And yeah, I think they're gonna keep this inning going here. Torey Lovullo's coming out to talk to Mark Ripperger, the crew chief, as the first base umpire. And I mean, that sure looked like the very definition of obstruction. It cost them not only an out, but an out to end the inning. And the Giants trying to get the potential tying runs on base. And he's getting an explanation now from Ripperger, who will tell Torey what the 4 umpires decided. But Diamondbacks are coming back out from the dugout, back onto the field.
Boy, this is a tough one. That's going to put 2 runners on base for Wilmer Flores.
Now there are 2 types of obstruction type 1 and type 2. This looks like a case of type 2 where there's not a play being made on the obstructed runner. The obstruction can happen away from the ball, and that's type 2 obstruction, and that's a judgment call by the umpires, and they can award the bases as they see fit. You let the play progress until its natural conclusion and then impose the penalties that they see fit to nullify the act of obstruction. The ball in the meantime remains in play. Now that ended quickly when Koss was tagged out, but no play was being made on the obstructed runner. This is type 2 obstruction, and the inning is going to continue. And Torey Lovullo has been ejected. Torey Lovullo pointing at all 4 umpires. He's throwing them all out of the game. And he is hot. Mark Ripperger is pleading his case. Torey, what do you want us to do? That's obstruction. But Torey's making a counterpoint. Now he's been thrown out of the game.
3-2.
They got the check swing that time. Wow.
Now the bases are loaded.
I thought he swung.
Someone just got thrown out.
Yeah.
Well, Donnie Kelly, John Lipka says you're out of this game, and that's the second time already that he's been ejected. I could read lips. He said, "You go back to the clubhouse, kind sir." And that's what I'll have to do now.
I don't like that.
Ryan Thompson yelling at both Stu Sherwater and Jordan Baker. I think they might have called a disengagement. What is going on here? Well, we've got 35,129 that would like to know what's going on as well. And he's got the hand and he's been ejected. Ryan Thompson was turning around and saying something to Dan Merzel, the second base umpire, who may have initiated all that mishegas before. And Jordan Baker screamed at the Diamondback pitcher, "Let it go." And that's when the dugout had to get involved.
Paredes, what do you know? He took a pitch. And
wow, that's a low zone.
Well,
hey.
So yeah, I think at this point, we've just got our first ejection.
Got him.
Now I've had this sense the last couple of days that Joe Espada was this close, as my mom used to say, and he's just finally blew. And Nick Marley said, "I've heard enough."
Yeah, the foundation was laid by the Texas Rangers disagreeing with similar calls, and now Joe Espada's asking him to clean it up.
Blanco goes on first movement, and Ray throws over, and Blanco is going to be out. Matt Quatrero might be arguing, and he just got ejected by second base umpire Jordan Baker, and he might be arguing blocking second base. This is not a reviewable play because blocking the bases cannot, because it falls under the umbrella of obstruction. So this is the best that Q can do, is go out and argue this play.
Lindor with the theft gets into scoring position. And a count 2-0 on Soto. Buehler getting after it with Estabrook, the home plate umpire. Narvaez out there to push him back, and he's thrown him out of the game. Estabrook has run the Red Sox starter. Walker Buehler has been thrown out. And Cora out now.
The problem is that pitcher, Estabrook called it a ball. It was right down the middle. I mentioned Narvaez kind of stands up, you know, to make a better throw, but Estabrook can't see it. That ball's right down the middle. I didn't realize he called it a ball. He did. Buehler had a problem with it, but I'll say this. Walker, I know he's emotional. He's a veteran. He's been around. You can't get thrown out here in this third inning.
Cora has been run too. And he fired up Alex Cora, returning to the club after taking last night off to see his daughter graduate Boston College. He wasn't in the game very long. That means Ramon Vasquez will take over for the second night in a row. As Alex Cora has been tossed out, Estabrook gets the pitcher and the manager.
It's very combative.
Oh.
Webb just off the outside corner. 1-1.
That was close. Could have been called a strike. There we go.
Yep, there goes Bochy's just been tossed. And he'll come out to make sure that Torres heard exactly what he was trying to communicate. Carlos Torres, our plate umpire. Here comes the future Hall of Fame manager. Yankees fans trying to get involved in the conversation themselves. But Boch, this has been a long time coming. He was a little hot the other day in that Houston series, but unfortunately for him, he couldn't get thrown out before Joe Espada got thrown out by the Astros.
Yeah.
There have been some dubious ball strike umpires lately.
Well, and that's, I believe, the third missed ball on Aaron Judge in this game. And, you know, I believe that one, it was borderline, but I think an edge of the ball caught the zone. And it's really close.
One way or the other, he executed exactly what he wanted to do.
But also very frustrating is Simeon got a call 2 inches off the plate that they called strike and caused Simeon eventually to strike out with the bases loaded.
That hit the bat? I guess it did hit the bat. Or did it hit? What did it hit? A swinging strikeout. So it hit the batter, but the batter was considered to have swung the bat.
Right. Well, and I think that Diaz is saying, look, it hit the butt end of my bat.
So they're going to explain it to Kevin before they let everybody else know, and the fact that there's likely going to be a review. He said the first base umpire ruled that he went with a swing. A lengthy argument for Kevin Cash. And Ucetta's walking back onto the field. And Kevin's thrown out for the first time this season. First ejection of the year for Rays manager Kevin Cash. And that's as hot as you'll see Kevin get.
Might as well get your money's worth.
Well, I can't think of too many times that he has been this fired up. In 11 years.
No, he's living.
And he's not done yet. He's coming back onto the field. And Jim Wolf is coming to meet him, and Rodney's trying to protect him. You know, there are managers out there that routinely do this. Kevin does not routinely do this. This is a genuine feeling from the Rays manager.
Well, he went out there on a fact-finding mission.
Right.
And he did not hear anything that he liked. That ball tracking in again, the knob of the bat.
That call on Herrera, a break for the Diamondbacks. As Herrera's out on strikes, here's Burleson. Your team offensively is really fun to watch. And it looks like someone's been thrown out.
Hey, Ollie
Hopefully
Marmol
it's
just
not
got.
Eric. I don't think Eric said anything.
Now Ollie just got tossed out. Rob Culpa, we talked about, he's from St. Louis.
Well, it's a good thing that Eric wasn't sitting next to Ollie, because we may have heard something that we probably would have regretted. And he's getting his money's worth here.
Eric, does that fire you up when you see a manager get into it like that?
Hell yeah, we love that. I mean, Ivan's one of the hottest bats in the league right now, and you know, when things don't go his way, that really hurts the club. So, going out there and fighting for him, we love it.
Strike 3 call. Now Ronnie's single is stranded. We go to the bottom of the 9th inning. Just moments ago, Dan Wilson coming out, talking with Laz Diaz after the strikeout to Randy Arozarena, and something that has never happened in the baseball career of Dan Wilson as a player or in his short early career as a manager. Dan Wilson has been ejected from this game.
Strong arms with Marsh and Castellanos in center and right. Saw Marsh's arm on full display last night. And I think there might have been a little finger pointing there.
Oh, yeah.
And Mark felt disrespected. And he's going to head to the clubhouse.
Follow, right? That's a strike. And that's about.
Yep. And he said, don't point your finger at me. With a bit of a standing ovation in the left field foul seats. You know, he's worked tirelessly night in and night out to try and get a win for the Athletics. He pushed all of the right buttons last night, and still the A's came up short. Tensions were boiling, emotions were high, and this was the moment where he got ejected.
Here's the 0-2. Swing and a miss, struck him out. Andujar's just been ejected. And he is gone from this game, and the A's are gone in the 8th for the second start in a row. A's do not score. We'll go to the 8th. It's 3-3.
And right there, he does the same. That's called strike 3. It was below the zone. Here comes A.J. Hinch to try and help his player, and they're gonna, you know, A.J. was a step away from getting out there, and Phil Cuzzy runs Javi Baez, and A.J. is trying to block Javi because he is incensed. Joey Cora's out there as well. Javi Baez is incensed. I don't know what was said, but Javi is livid. A.J. Hinch was one step away from the plate when Phil Cuzzy threw out Javi Baez, and Javi's going to leave this game. That ball was low.
Now this is how that last half inning just ended, with a pitch well below the zone. Young called out on strikes. That was just so frustrating with a team that has struggled here. And then Will Little, hearing it from the Rangers bench, ejected somebody. Let's see who that was. That said, Will Little today, for the most part, we really haven't noticed him, right? I mean, it's not like he's had a lot of controversial calls back there. By and large, been pretty good. Just a couple of really obvious misses here late.
Man, close. Called a ball. You saw Bailey, and now the Giants are barking.
That's it. That's it. You know what? Done.
Oh, here we go. Bob Melvin just got kicked out of the game.
I'm gonna
this is exactly what he needs to let him know. You know, you're going to call him on us. You got to call him both ways. You can't just be ringing our guys up and sticking up for the guys. It matters. And Bob is feeling it. You can tell this is real. This is no act. This is coming from the heart. Whew. Let him know.
Bottom of the zone, strike 3.
Everything up to the final pitch.
And McLean is not happy. Terry Francona trying to back up his player, now coming out of the dugout. And the low strike has been so hard all game. Hunter Green got burned on it. And it looks like he's tossed somebody. And Terry Francona's been tossed. Is that Nick Martinez? It looked like that had come off the rail.
Well, the bottom of the strike zone has been non-existent here tonight.
Is that a strike? Most days, yes. Yeah. But most of the game, it hadn't been.
It has not been.
What's a strike in the first should be a strike in the ninth, and everything in between.
And the 0-2 on the way to Crawford. It is strike 3 called on the outside corner, and JP not happy at all with home plate umpire Andy Fletcher, and Crawford has just been thrown out of the ball game. JP Crawford is red hot. He's not giving up the conversation. Here comes Dan Wilson, and JP called out on strikes by Andy Fletcher. And there's one away for the Mariners here in the bottom of the 6th inning. And JP not too happy about it.
There's a high probability this is going to be a fastball. You certainly don't want to sell out completely. Oh, no.
That was ball 4. That could decide the game. And Donnie Kelly is going to give it to Edwin Jimenez. And that's when Donnie Kelly got ejected for a 3rd time in his first month managing the Pirates.
Runner goes. They've got him. Tell you what, he was hustling up to the second base bag. Durbin, I think, felt like he got his hand in there on the swim move.
And I think they just called a balk.
Oh,
and
did they really?
It was the third base umpire called a balk, I believe.
Yeah, Luzardo's not happy about it. They're saying that his foot crossed his leg, which means he has to then go to the plate instead of dropping down and going to first.
Now, the first base umpire has a much, much better look at that than the third base umpire. And how he calls it is the reason why right now that Rob Thompson's really angry.
Oh, see, I think the third base umpire thought that he crossed his leg.
Well, that's exactly what Rob Thompson's asking. Yeah. Why in the world is this guy making the call and not the first base umpire?
And Rob's thrown out.
He has every right to be angry about this situation because that's not the third base umpire's call.
We have an argument. Carlos Correa is screaming at Austin Jones. Rocco Baldelli is fired up, and he gets ejected.
He threw out Correa?
He did. Carlos Correa was ejected from the on-deck circle. That was a borderline pitch. Austin Jones calls time on behalf of the batter, and then Correa has a word with Jones, who immediately throws him out. What are you doing, says Rocco Baldelli with a couple words in between.